In the vast, endless expanse of space, where stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across an infinite black canvas, a fleet of alien ships approached Earth. The invaders called themselves the Krylos, a species known throughout the galaxy for their cold efficiency and brutal conquests. They had traveled countless light years, leaving behind trails of destruction on planets that dared to resist them. But this time, they believed their mission would be simple. Earth was just another primitive world, its inhabitants divided by borders, languages, and ideologies. The Krylos saw humanity as nothing more than ants, small, insignificant creatures who could easily be crushed underfoot. The Krylos mothership, a colossal structure that dwarfed even the largest human cities, descended into orbit around Earth. Its surface shimmered with strange metallic patterns that seemed alive, pulsating faintly in rhythm with some unseen force. From its belly emerged smaller scout ships, sleek and menacing, like predators circling prey. As these vessels positioned themselves above key locations on Earth's surface, the Krylos broadcasted a message, one that would resonate through every communication device on the planet. "Surrender or perish," the voice boomed, cold and mechanical. It wasn't spoken in any human language, but somehow bypassed linguistic barriers, embedding itself directly into the minds of everyone who heard it. People froze mid-step, their hearts pounding as they processed the chilling words. Cars screeched to a halt on highways. Phones buzzed incessantly as videos captured reactions of shock and fear. For a moment, chaos reigned. Families huddled together praying for salvation. Governments scrambled to respond, unsure whether to negotiate or prepare for war. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of collapsing into panic, humanity began to change. Across continents, people started coming together, not out of desperation, but out of defiance. In New York City, strangers helped each other barricade streets. In Tokyo, engineers worked around the clock to fortify buildings against potential attacks. In rural villages in Africa and South America, communities pooled resources to create makeshift shelters. Even old enemies set aside their differences. Leaders from nations that had spent decades at odds found themselves sitting at the same table, united by a common goal: survival. What the Krylos failed to understand was that humanity thrived under pressure. When faced with extinction, humans didn't cower, they adapted. And unbeknownst to the invaders, humanity had been preparing for this exact scenario long before the Krylos arrived. Deep beneath mountains and oceans, hidden from public view, governments had quietly invested in secret projects designed to protect Earth from extraterrestrial threats. These initiatives were dismissed by many as science fiction fantasies dreamed up by paranoid conspiracy theorists. But now, those so-called fantasies were about to become reality. Massive underground bunkers housed experimental weapons systems, capable of rivaling anything the Krylos possessed. Plasma cannons, railguns, and electromagnetic pulse devices, all products of years of research and development, were finally ready to be deployed. At the same time, astronomers monitoring Earth's moon made a startling discovery. Hidden beneath layers of dust and rock lay structures unlike anything natural. These weren't ancient ruins left behind by some forgotten civilization. They were man-made. Decades earlier, humanity had secretly constructed bases on the moon, including a network of starships disguised as asteroids. These ships, codenamed Star Destroyers, were designed to remain dormant until needed. Each vessel was equipped with cutting-edge propulsion systems, energy shields, and weaponry powerful enough to obliterate entire fleets. Back aboard the Krylos mothership, the commander watched the initial stages of the invasion unfold with growing unease. His scouts reported resistance far greater than anticipated. Primitive aircraft armed with bizarre energy weapons engaged his fighters, managing to destroy several ships. Ground-based defenses emerged from hidden bunkers, unleashing devastating barrages that shredded through Krylos shields. "This shouldn't be possible," the commander muttered, his confidence wavering. He had expected disarray, chaos, surrender, not organized retaliation. Meanwhile, deep inside Earth's command centers, Scientists worked tirelessly to analyze data collected from captured Krylos technology. Every piece of alien hardware was scrutinized, dissected, and reverse-engineered. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. It was learning. Within days, engineers developed hybrid weapons combining human ingenuity with alien innovation. Drones, powered by adaptive AI, swarmed enemy fleets, overwhelming their defenses. Satellites equipped with orbital lasers turned the sky into a deadly web of light, picking off Krylos ships one by one. As the battle raged on, ordinary citizens played their part too. Social media became a tool for coordination, with people sharing information about safe zones, medical supplies, and evacuation routes. Artists painted murals of hope on crumbling walls, while musicians composed songs that inspired courage. Even children contributed, drawing pictures of Earth triumphing over alien invaders. Humanity may have been flawed, divided, and chaotic, but when faced with annihilation, they discovered strength in unity. The Krylos began to realize they had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity, dismissing them as weak and disorganized. What they encountered instead was a species capable of incredible resilience, creativity, and determination. The invaders' arrogance blinded them to the truth. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its technology, it was its spirit. And so, as the first phase of the invasion drew to a close, the Krylos found themselves on the defensive for the first time in their history. Their once unstoppable fleet was faltering, their soldiers shaken by the ferocity of Earth's response. Far below, amidst the rubble and smoke, humanity stood tall. They had endured the opening blows of the war and emerged stronger than ever. The Krylos thought they were gods descending upon a helpless world. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and now, that giant was ready to fight back. The Krylos fleet, though staggered by humanity's unexpected resistance, still held a significant advantage. Their ships were larger, their weapons more advanced, and their numbers overwhelming. The invaders launched a second wave of attacks, determined to crush Earth's defenses before the humans could fully mobilize their hidden arsenal. This time, however, the Krylos came with precision and fury, targeting critical infrastructure, power grids, communication hubs, and military bases. Cities across the globe trembled as beams of energy rained down from the sky, obliterating buildings and leaving scars on the planet's surface. Millions perished in those first brutal hours. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to ash, and rivers ran black with soot and debris. Yet even amidst the devastation, humanity refused to surrender. Fighter jets armed with experimental plasma cannons took to the skies, engaging the smaller scout ships sent down by the Krylos. These aircraft, though outdated compared to the sleek alien vessels, proved surprisingly effective. Pilots maneuvered with reckless bravery, weaving through enemy fire and launching salvos that tore through Krylos shields. One by one, alien ships exploded in bursts of light, sending shockwaves rippling through the atmosphere. Back on the ground, massive turrets emerged from underground bunkers, their barrels glowing with barely contained energy. These weapons, years in the making, fired projectiles capable of piercing even the strongest alien armor. Entire squadrons of Krylos fighters disintegrated mid-air as the turrets unleashed hell upon the invaders. Civilians watched in awe as streaks of blue and red light crisscrossed the heavens, turning the battlefield into a dazzling yet deadly spectacle. For every human life lost, 2 or 3 alien ships fell from the sky. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. On board the Krylos mothership, the commander paced furiously, his claws clicking against the metallic floor. "How is this possible?" he growled, staring at holographic displays showing the carnage below. His forces were losing, a fact that gnawed at him like acid. Never before had the Krylos faced such fierce opposition. Other civilizations they had conquered had either surrendered immediately or been annihilated without much effort. But humanity was different. They fought not just out of fear or desperation, but with something deeper: pride. Every shot fired, every ship destroyed, seemed to carry the weight of centuries of struggle and survival. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's command centers, scientists worked around the clock to analyze captured Krylos technology. Fragments of alien ships recovered from earlier battles provided invaluable insights into their enemies' weaknesses. Engineers reverse-engineered these components, creating hybrid weapons that combined human ingenuity with alien innovation. Drones powered by adaptive AI swarmed enemy fleets, overwhelming them with sheer numbers and relentless precision. Orbital satellites equipped with lasers turned the sky into a lethal web of light, picking off Krylos ships one by one. Humanity wasn't just defending itself, it was adapting, evolving, and learning faster than anyone thought possible. As days turned into weeks, the Krylos grew increasingly desperate. Their losses mounted, and their once unstoppable fleet began to falter. Morale among their ranks plummeted as soldiers questioned whether victory was still achievable. Rumors spread of a prophecy foretelling the downfall of the Krylos at the hands of an underestimated foe. Some whispered that Earth was cursed, its people imbued with some kind of supernatural resilience. Others blamed the commander for underestimating humanity, claiming his arrogance had led them to ruin. But it wasn't superstition or bad leadership that doomed the Krylos. It was their inability to comprehend the true nature of humanity. To the Krylos, war was a matter of resources and dominance. To humans, it was personal. Every life lost fueled their determination to fight harder, smarter, and longer. Families mourned their dead, but channeled their grief into action. Factories that once produced cars and appliances now churned out weapons and ammunition. Farmers donated food to feed armies, while doctors worked tirelessly to save the wounded. Even children contributed, drawing pictures of Earth triumphing over alien invaders and sharing messages of hope online. In the midst of the chaos, a breakthrough occurred, one that would change the course of the war forever. Astronomers monitoring Earth's moon noticed unusual activity near its dark side. Hidden beneath layers of dust and rock, structures began to shift and realign, revealing themselves for what they truly were: starships. Sleek and imposing, these vessels dwarfed anything the Krylos had ever encountered. Dubbed star destroyers by military officials, they were the culmination of decades of secret research and development. Each ship bristled with weapons and carried enough firepower to level entire cities. When activated, the star destroyers ascended from behind the moon, their engines roaring like thunder. Thousands of kilometers away, the Krylos fleet froze in stunned silence as these behemoths entered Earth's orbit. The sight was both terrifying and mesmerizing. Hundreds of ships, each larger than the Krylos mothership, formed a protective barrier around the planet. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, reflecting the light of the sun like polished silver. For the first time since the invasion began, the Krylos felt genuine fear. "This can't be happening," muttered one Krylos officer, his voice trembling. Another stared at the monitors, his eyes wide with disbelief. The Krylos had assumed Earth was defenseless, its people too primitive to pose a serious threat. Now they realized how wrong they had been. Humanity hadn't just prepared for their arrival, they had anticipated it. The Star Destroyers weren't just ships, they were symbols of defiance, proof that humanity could rise above any challenge. As the massive vessels moved into position, the Krylos scrambled to regroup. Their remaining ships formed tight formations, attempting to shield their mothership from the impending assault. But it was futile. The Star Destroyers unleashed devastating barrages of energy beams, reducing Krylos cruisers to floating debris. Pilots cheered as they flew alongside the colossal ships, picking off stragglers and finishing off damaged vessels. On Earth, civilians gathered around televisions and radios, watching live broadcasts of the battle unfold. Tears streamed down, faces as cheers erupted in streets and shelters. Humanity wasn't just fighting back, it was winning. Far away, in another galaxy, rumors spread of a blue planet where invaders met their match. Stories of Earth's resistance traveled from star system to star system, sparking curiosity and admiration. Civilizations that had once dismissed humanity as insignificant now viewed them with newfound respect. The phrase echoed among alien species. "We underestimated humanity. Now our world lies in ruins." For the Krylos, there was no turning back. Their fleet was crumbling, their morale shattered. Desperation drove them to consider extreme measures, activating a doomsday weapon capable of wiping out all life on Earth. But humanity, ever resourceful, anticipated this move. A team of elite hackers infiltrated the Krylos network using stolen codes, disabling the weapon moments before activation. With their final ace removed, the Krylos flagship became the primary target. In a coordinated strike, the Star Destroyers surrounded the vessel and fired simultaneously. In a blinding explosion, the heart of the invasion force was obliterated. Silence fell over the battlefield. Drifting wreckage served as a grim reminder of the cost of war. Billions of lives had been lost, and entire cities lay in ruins. Yet amidst the devastation, hope flickered like a flame. Humanity had proven itself stronger than anyone imagined, even themselves. The Krylos survivors surrendered, begging for mercy. Rather than exact revenge, humanity offered peace, but under strict conditions. The Krylos would help rebuild Earth and share their knowledge in exchange for protection. In the months that followed, Earth transformed. Nations collaborated like never before, pooling resources to heal the wounds of war. The Star Destroyers remained vigilant, patrolling the stars to ensure no other threats emerged. Humanity's greatest strength, it turned out, wasn't its technology or firepower, it was unity. And somewhere in the cosmos, a new respect for Earth and its people was born. As the smoke cleared and the dust settled, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. The Krylos invasion had been halted, their fleet decimated by Earth's unexpected might. Yet, even as celebrations erupted across the globe, leaders and scientists knew the war wasn't over. The surviving Krylos forces still posed a threat, and the invaders' true intentions remained shrouded in mystery. Humanity's victories so far had been hard fought, but they were only the beginning of what would become an epic struggle for survival. Deep within Earth's command centers, analysts pored over data collected from captured Krylos technology. Every piece of alien hardware was scrutinized, dissected, and reverse-engineered. What they discovered sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The Krylos weren't just conquerors. They were scavengers, harvesting resources from planets to fuel their endless expansion. Their weapons, shields, and propulsion systems relied on rare minerals found only in specific star systems. This revelation sparked a chilling realization. Earth wasn't just a target, it was a treasure trove of these precious materials. But there was more. Buried deep within the Krylos' databases were blueprints for a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Dubbed the Oblivion Core by human researchers, it was capable of annihilating entire planets with a single blast. The device operated by destabilizing a planet's core, triggering catastrophic chain reactions that would tear worlds apart. Fortunately, the Krylos hadn't managed to deploy it during the invasion, thanks to humanity's quick thinking and cyber warfare expertise. Still, the mere existence of such a weapon terrified everyone who learned of it. The discovery of the Oblivion Core forced humanity to confront a harsh truth. The Krylos wouldn't stop until they achieved their goal. Even now, remnants of their fleet were regrouping, retreating to safer distances while plotting their next move. Intelligence reports suggested they were calling for reinforcements, a second wave of ships already en route to Earth. Time was running out. If humanity wanted to survive, they needed to act quickly and decisively. Meanwhile, the Star Destroyers continued to patrol Earth's orbit, their presence serving as both a shield and a symbol of defiance. These massive vessels, once hidden beneath layers of moon dust, had proven themselves invaluable in turning the tide of the war, but their power came at a cost. Maintaining the fleet required vast amounts of energy, which drained Earth's already strained resources. Power plants worked overtime to keep the ships operational, while engineers raced to develop more efficient energy sources. It was a delicate balancing act. One wrong move could leave humanity vulnerable again. On board the lead Star Destroyer codenamed Eclipse, Commander Elena Vasquez stared out at the stars. A veteran soldier turned strategist, she had risen through the ranks after demonstrating unparalleled leadership during the early days of the invasion. Now, She bore the weight of humanity's hopes on her shoulders. Her crew trusted her implicitly, knowing she would make the tough decisions when necessary, but even she couldn't shake the feeling of unease gnawing at her gut. "We've won battles," she muttered to herself, "but we haven't won the war." Her thoughts were interrupted by Lieutenant Marcus Chen, the ship's chief engineer. He approached her with a datapad in hand, his expression grim. "Commander," he said, "we've finished analyzing the Krylos comms intercepts. They're planning something big, something beyond the Oblivion Core." He hesitated before continuing. "They mentioned reinforcements, thousands of ships, maybe tens of thousands." Elena's blood ran cold. She had feared this moment would come, but hearing it confirmed made her stomach churn. Tens of thousands of ships? Against that kind of force, even the Star Destroyers might not be enough. She clenched her fists, forcing herself to stay calm. Panic wouldn't help anyone. Instead, she turned to face Marcus. "What about our defenses? Are we ready?" Marcus sighed. "We've upgraded the railguns and plasma cannons, but most of our ships are still running on borrowed time. If those reinforcements arrive before we can reinforce ourselves..." He trailed off, leaving the implication hanging in the air. Elena nodded. "Then we'll have to hit them first," she said firmly. "We can't wait around for them to gather strength. We strike now, before they have a chance to mobilize fully." The plan was risky, bordering on reckless. Attacking the Krylos stronghold head-on would stretch Earth's forces thin, leaving little room for error. But Elena knew they had no other choice. Waiting meant certain defeat. Striking first gave them at least a fighting chance. After consulting with Earth's Global Council, she received approval to launch Operation Phoenix Dawn, a daring assault aimed at crippling the Krylos' ability to wage war. Preparations began immediately. Engineers worked tirelessly to retrofit existing ships with experimental weapons systems. Pilots trained day and night, honing their skills in simulated dogfights against AI-controlled Krylos fighters. On the ground, civilians rallied behind. The effort, donating supplies, volunteering for support roles, and spreading messages of hope. Social media buzzed with hashtags like Yarn Earthrises and No Surrender, uniting people across continents in a shared cause. At the heart of Operation Phoenix, Dawn lay a secret weapon, Project Harbinger. Developed in complete secrecy, Harbinger was a prototype starship unlike anything humanity, or the Krylos, had ever seen. Sleek and angular, its design incorporated elements of both human and alien engineering. Equipped with quantum drives, adaptive shielding, and a weapon system capable of firing concentrated beams of antimatter, Harbinger represented humanity's last hope. Its mission was simple yet perilous. Infiltrate the Krylos stronghold, disable their command center, and destroy their primary shipyards. Leading the mission was Captain Ravi Patel, a decorated pilot known for his unorthodox tactics and nerves of steel. Ravi had volunteered for the assignment without hesitation, knowing full well the odds were stacked against him. As he boarded Harbinger alongside his elite crew, he felt a mix of excitement and dread. "This is it," he said to his co-pilot Sarah Kim. "If we pull this off, we might just save the world." Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the controls. "And if we don't?" Ravi grinned despite himself. "Then at least we'll go down swinging." As Harbinger launched from Eclipse, flanked by squadrons of fighter jets and drones, humanity held its breath. The fate of Earth rested on the success of this mission, and everyone knew it. Back on the surface, billions watched live broadcasts of the operation unfold, praying for victory. For the first time in history, the entire planet was united, not by politics or religion, but by a shared desire to survive. The journey to the Krylos stronghold took days, during which Harbinger's crew faced numerous challenges. Enemy patrols roamed the void between star systems, forcing the team to navigate carefully to avoid detection. Supplies dwindled, tempers flared, and doubts crept into even the strongest minds. Yet through it all, Ravi maintained his focus. He reminded his crew why they were here: to protect their families, their homes, and their future. Slowly but surely morale improved, bolstered by a renewed sense of purpose. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Krylos stronghold came into view. It was a sprawling complex orbiting a dying star, its twisted metal spires glinting ominously in the dim light. Dozens of ships patrolled the perimeter, their weapons primed for battle. Ravi took a deep breath, steadying himself. "All right, team," he said, his voice steady. "Let's show them what humanity is made of." With that, Harbinger surged forward, its engines blazing like twin suns. The final phase of Operation Phoenix Dawn had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. As Harbinger approached the Krylos stronghold, tension crackled through its sleek corridors like static electricity. Captain Ravi Patel stood at the helm, his hands gripping the controls as he guided the prototype starship toward its target. The Krylos complex loomed ahead, a jagged monstrosity of metal and energy that seemed to pulse with malevolent intent. Its spires jutted out at irregular angles, glowing faintly with an eerie green light. Dozens of alien ships orbited the structure, their weapons trained on any intruder foolish enough to venture too close. Ravi's voice broke the silence. "All right, team, this is it. Stick to the plan, stay sharp, and remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for everyone back home." His words hung in the air, heavy with purpose. Each member of the crew nodded, their expressions grim but determined. They had prepared for this moment for weeks, rehearsing every maneuver, memorizing every contingency. There was no room for error now. Failure meant doom for Earth. Harbinger slipped into stealth mode, its hull shimmering briefly before disappearing from sight. This cloaking technology, reverse-engineered from captured Krylos tech, was one of humanity's greatest advantages. As the ship drifted closer to the stronghold, sensors scanned the area, identifying weak points in the enemy's defenses. A massive hangar bay stood open, likely used for repairing and refueling Krylos vessels. It would be the perfect entry point if they could get past the patrols guarding it. "Two cruisers are moving into position," Sarah Kim announced, her fingers flying over the navigation console. "They'll spot us if we don't act fast." Diversion. "Drones ready?" Ravi asked without taking his eyes off the view screen. "Ready," replied Lieutenant Jake Chen, the ship's tactical officer. With a flick of his wrist, he deployed a swarm of small autonomous drones equipped with holographic projectors. These drones buzzed around the perimeter of the stronghold, emitting false signals designed to mimic incoming human fighters. Krylos ships immediately turned their attention to the decoys, firing plasma beams in futile attempts to destroy them. "Now!" Ravi barked. Harbinger surged forward, slipping into the hangar bay undetected. The massive doors slid shut behind them, sealing the crew inside what felt like the belly of a mechanical beast. Red emergency lights bathed the interior in a sinister glow, illuminating rows of Krylos fighters docked along the walls. Maintenance bots scurried about, oblivious to the intruders hidden among them. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Sergeant Mia Torres, the ship's engineer. She adjusted the settings on her plasma cutter, ensuring it was primed for sabotage. Her job was simple yet critical: disable as many enemy ships as possible while the rest of the team focused on the command center. "Stay focused," Ravi reminded her. "We've got work to do." The crew split up, each member assigned a specific task. While Ravi and Sarah led a small strike team toward the command center, Mia and Jake stayed behind to wreak havoc in the hangar. Using portable EMP devices, they disabled entire sections of the stronghold's power grid, plunging the facility into chaos. Alarms blared, echoing through the metallic halls as Krylos soldiers scrambled to respond. Overwhelmed by the sudden disruption, the aliens struggled to mount an effective defense. Meanwhile, Ravi's team navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the stronghold, dodging patrols and disabling security systems along the way. Their movements were precise, calculated, a testament to hours of training and preparation. At one point, they encountered a squad of Krylos warriors rounding a corner. Before the aliens could react, Sarah hurled a smoke grenade, filling the hallway with thick gray clouds. The team used the cover to slip past unnoticed, leaving their enemies disoriented and confused. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the command center. It was a cavernous chamber filled with glowing holograms and pulsating control panels. In the center stood a towering figure, the Krylos commander overseeing the stronghold. He turned as the humans entered, his claws flexing in anticipation of a fight. Surrounding him were several armed guards, their weapons already trained on the intruders. "You dare trespass here?" the commander growled, his voice dripping with contempt. "You will die for your insolence." Ravi stepped forward, his weapon raised. "Not today," he said calmly. Without hesitation, he fired a burst of plasma, striking the nearest guard. Chaos erupted as the rest of the team engaged the Krylos forces, exchanging fire in a deadly dance of light and sound. Despite being outnumbered, the humans fought with ferocity born of desperation. Every shot fired, every blow landed, carried the weight of billions of lives depending on their success. Sarah managed to reach the main console, her fingers flying over the alien interface as she hacked into the system. Lines of code scrolled across her screen, deciphered in real time by advanced translation software. "I'm in!" she shouted triumphantly. "Initiating self-destruct sequence," the Krylos commander roared in fury, lunging at Sarah with terrifying speed. Ravi intercepted him, tackling the alien leader to the ground. The two grappled fiercely, their struggle shaking the very foundations of the command center. Claws raked against armor. Teeth snapped inches from flesh. For a moment it seemed the Krylos might overpower Rari, but then he slammed his fist into the alien's chest, knocking him back long enough for Sarah to finish her work. "Self-destruct activated," she cried. "We need to go. Now." The team didn't waste a second. They bolted out of the command center, retracing their steps through the stronghold's twisting corridors. Behind them, explosions rocked the facility as internal reactors began to overload. Flames licked at the walls, consuming everything in their path. The heat was unbearable, but the crew pressed on, driven by sheer willpower. When they finally reached Harbinger, Jake and Mia were waiting for them, their faces streaked with sweat and soot. "Let's get out of here," Jake yelled as they boarded the ship. Ravi took the controls once more, piloting Harbinger out of the collapsing hangar just as the entire stronghold imploded in a brilliant flash of light. Back aboard Eclipse, Commander Elena Vasquez watched the destruction unfold with a mixture of relief and awe. "They did it," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Across the fleet, cheers erupted as news of the mission's success spread. Humanity had dealt the Krylos a devastating blow, one that would cripple their ability to launch further attacks. But the war wasn't over yet. Even as celebrations broke out across Earth, leaders knew the Krylos reinforcements were still en route. Time was running out, and humanity needed to prepare for the final battle. Still, for the first time since the invasion began, there was hope, a fragile but powerful flame that refused to be extinguished. In the days that followed, the story of Operation Phoenix Dawn became legend. Captain Ravi Patel and his crew were hailed as heroes, their bravery inspiring millions to continue the fight. Earth's skies remained vigilant, patrolled by star destroyers ready to defend their world at all costs. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the surviving Krylos plotted their revenge, unaware that humanity had only begun to show its true strength. For the first time, humanity had proven not just that it could survive, but that it could thrive. Against impossible odds, they had risen above fear, division, and despair. And when the next wave of invaders arrived, they would find not a fractured species clinging to life, but a united force determined to protect its home. The destruction of the Krylos stronghold marked a turning point in humanity's struggle for survival. For the first time since the invasion began, Earth had taken the fight directly to their enemy, and won. The news spread like wildfire across the globe, igniting a wave of hope and determination among billions of people. Cities that had been reduced to rubble were slowly coming back to life, their streets filled with volunteers rebuilding what had been lost. Farmers planted crops on scorched fields while engineers worked tirelessly to repair damaged infrastructure. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was healing. But the war wasn't over yet. Intelligence reports confirmed that the Krylus reinforcements, tens of thousands of ships strong, were still en route to Earth. Traveling at sublight speeds, they would arrive within weeks. This gave humanity precious little time to prepare for the final battle, one that could determine the fate of their species. Leaders from every nation convened in an emergency summit, pooling resources and strategizing how best to defend their planet. It was clear that traditional tactics wouldn't be enough. Humanity needed something extraordinary if it hoped to stand against such overwhelming odds. Commander Elena Vasquez stood before the assembled leaders, her voice steady but urgent. "We've shown them we're not easy prey," she said, addressing the room. "But the next wave will dwarf anything we've faced so far. To win this war, we need more than weapons. We need unity, innovation, and sacrifice." Her words resonated deeply with those present. For years, humanity had been divided by borders, ideologies, and conflicts. Now, united by a common threat, they found strength in collaboration. The Global Council authorized Project Eclipse Dawn, a massive initiative aimed at upgrading Earth's defenses and mobilizing its population for total war. Factories once used to produce cars and appliances now churned out advanced weaponry, drones, and starships. Scientists worked around the clock to develop new technologies, drawing inspiration from both human ingenuity and captured Krylos tech. Engineers built orbital defense platforms armed with powerful lasers capable of targeting enemy ships before they entered Earth's atmosphere. Underground bunkers were transformed into command centers, coordinating efforts between military units, civilian volunteers, and AI systems. At the heart of Project Eclipse Dawn lay the Star Destroyers. These colossal vessels, humanity's greatest achievement, received significant upgrades thanks to insights gained from Operation Phoenix Dawn. Their engines became faster, their shields stronger, and their weapons deadlier. New squadrons of hybrid fighters, combining human agility with alien firepower, joined the fleet, ready to engage the Krylos in close combat. Pilots trained relentlessly, pushing themselves to the limits of endurance. Even civilians contributed, learning basic combat skills and preparing evacuation plans in case the worst happened. As preparations intensified, ordinary citizens played crucial roles too. Artists painted murals depicting humanity's resilience, musicians composed anthems celebrating courage, and storytellers shared tales of heroism to inspire future generations. Social media buzzed with hashtags like One Earth and Never Surrender, uniting people across continents in a shared cause. The message was clear. No matter where you came from or what language you spoke, you were part of something bigger than yourself. You were part of humanity. When the day finally came, the sky above Earth darkened as the Krylos fleet emerged from hyperspace. Tens of thousands of ships filled the void, their hulls gleaming ominously under the light of the sun. They formed tight formations, surrounding the planet like a swarm of locusts descending upon a field. From their vantage points aboard the Star Destroyers, humanity watched in awe and dread as the invaders prepared to strike. "Here we go," Commander Vasquez whispered, gripping the controls of her flagship. She activated the communication system, broadcasting a message to every ship, soldier, and civilian listening. "This is it," she said, her voice firm despite the weight of the moment. "Today, we show the universe what humanity is made of. Stand your ground, fight with everything you've got, and never forget why we're here. For our families, our homes, and our future." With that, the final battle began. The Krylos launched their opening salvo, unleashing devastating barrages of plasma beams and missiles. Cities below trembled as explosions rocked the skies, lighting up the horizon like fireworks. But humanity struck back immediately. Orbital defense platforms fired concentrated laser beams, slicing through enemy ships like knives through paper. Star Destroyers surged forward, their railguns thundering as they unleashed salvos of high-velocity projectiles. Hybrid fighters swarmed the battlefield, engaging Krylos cruisers in dogfights that lit up space with bursts of energy. Amidst the chaos, Captain Ravi Patel led a daring counterattack. Piloting Harbinger alongside his elite squadron, he targeted key points in the Krylos formation, exploiting weaknesses identified during Operation Phoenix Dawn. His team's precision and coordination disrupted the invaders' strategy, forcing them to divert resources to deal with the unexpected threat. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Sarah Kim coordinated drone strikes using AI-controlled machines to harass the enemy from multiple angles. Together, they created openings for larger ships to exploit, turning the tide of the battle ever so slightly in humanity's favor. On board the Star Destroyers, engineers monitored shield levels and power reserves, making split-second adjustments to ensure their vessels remained operational. Civilians stationed in underground bunkers provided logistical support, relaying vital information to commanders in real time. Every action, no matter how small, contributed to the greater effort. Humanity fought not as individuals but as a single entity, bound together by purpose and resolve. As hours turned into days, the battle raged on without pause. Both sides suffered heavy losses, but humanity's adaptability gave them a critical edge. When Krylos ships deployed cloaking devices to evade detection, scientists countered with quantum sensors capable of piercing through invisibility fields. When enemy fighters overwhelmed human pilots, AI-driven drones stepped in to level the playing field. Each challenge was met with innovation, each setback overcome with determination. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Krylos began to falter. Their numbers dwindled, their formations fractured, and their morale shattered. Desperation drove them to extreme measures. They activated a doomsday weapon hidden aboard their flagship, intending to obliterate Earth in a final act of vengeance. But humanity, ever vigilant, anticipated this move. A team of elite hackers infiltrated the Krylos network, disabling the weapon moments before activation. With their last-ditch effort thwarted, the invaders' flagship became the primary target. In a coordinated strike, the Star Destroyers surrounded the Krylos mothership, unleashing everything they had left. Plasma cannons roared, railguns thundered, and antimatter beams tore through the nightmarish vessel's defenses. In a blinding explosion, the heart of the invasion force was obliterated, scattering debris across the void. Cheers erupted aboard the human fleet as the remaining Krylos ships retreated, fleeing into the depths of space. Silence fell over the battlefield. Drifting wreckage served as a grim reminder of the cost of war. Billions of lives had been lost, and entire cities lay in ruins. Yet amidst the devastation, hope flickered like a flame. Humanity had proven itself stronger than anyone imagined, even themselves. The Krylos survivors surrendered, begging for mercy. Rather than exact revenge, humanity offered peace, but under strict conditions. The Krylos would help rebuild Earth and share their knowledge in exchange for protection. In the months that followed, Earth transformed. Nations collaborated like never before, pooling resources to heal the wounds of war. The Star Destroyers remained vigilant, patrolling the stars to ensure no other threats emerged. Humanity's greatest strength, it turned out, wasn't its technology or firepower. It was unity. And somewhere in the cosmos, a new respect for Earth and its people was born. Far away, in another galaxy, rumors spread of a blue planet where invaders met their match. Stories of Earth's resistance traveled from star system to star system, sparking curiosity and admiration. Civilizations that had once dismissed humanity as insignificant now viewed them with newfound respect. The phrase echoed among alien species. We underestimated humanity. Now our world lies in ruins. For humanity, the war against the Krylos was more than a fight for survival. It was a testament to their indomitable spirit. Against impossible odds, they had risen above fear, division, and despair. And when the next wave of invaders arrived, if they ever did, they would find not a fractured species clinging to life, but a united force determined to protect its home.